Oh. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It is 7 p.m. Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. We'll call the City Council regular meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the invocation given by Councilwoman Shadlick, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we ask your blessings today. We pray for your guidance. We ask you to watch over our city officials as well as our city in general and all of our residents. We pray for your mercy. We pray for your healing, especially on those residents who are suffering with cancer and other illness. We pray for those people, in particular, my friend John Montavani and Jennifer Biondo Ballard. In Jesus' name, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the first thing that we have is a presentation for the retirement of K-9 Officer Ryder.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
If we could pass that for a minute. I just texted with Sergeant McNeil, and he's at the station. He's trying to get out of there to get up here. He'll be up here as soon as he can.
Oh, that's okay. Well, let's start with our proclamation recognizing John Kraus. Could or do you want us to read it?
I think we should go up front. Is he here?
He's there.
Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. All right, proclamation. City of Eastpointe proclamation recognizing John Kraus. Whereas the City of Eastpointe selected John Kraus as the Community Development Fellow through the Community Economic Development Association of Michigan from May 2023 through August 2024 to lead citywide sustainability projects under the Greenpoint Initiative. And whereas John engaged a variety of community partners, including city departments, consultants, boards and commissions, local, county, and state governmental entities, community nonprofits, and local businesses. And whereas John applied for over $7.4 million in grant funding for various sustainability, artistic, and public space projects, including the award of $1 million revitalization and placemaking grant for the creation of the Civic Point Community Gathering Space and the $1.5 million Community Center grant for the Kennedy Park Splash Pad. And whereas John created the landscape and green infrastructure section of the zoning ordinance, earning Eastpointe its first recognition and silver designation as a Michigan Green Community. And whereas John led the planting of over 130 street trees on residential and commercial streets to increase the existing tree canopy, held an Arbor Day event to educate the community on the importance of trees in reducing airborne pollution and the urban heat island effect, and obtained a DNR grant to create a future tree inventory and management plan for Eastpointe to extend the tree canopy coverage. And whereas John obtained funding and created the bioretention streetscape initiative, and the 9-mile median landscape design project to beautify the newly renovated 9-mile road with trees and native plants, which will capture water and reduce the impact on the city's combined sewer system. And whereas John's time in Eastpointe may be deciduous, yet his impact is unequivocally coniferous. Now, therefore, the mayor and city council for the city of Eastpointe, city council proclaims that John Kraus is hereby recognized for his contributions to the city, and we extend our gratitude as he ends his fellowship on August 15th, 2024, proclaimed this the 13th day of August, 2024.
Trees will outlive us, so that'll be good. That's right. Big asses for the creature. Thank you so much.
Come on, we're gonna take a picture. What do you want the tree flag?
And I'm not gonna tell you where the tree ponds came from. The tree ponds, the city was in reference, references.
Thank you.
So I'll be quick here, everybody, but I just want to thank you so much. It has been an absolute honor to be able to serve as the Eastpointe's Community Development Fellow. My background's in architecture, so a lot of these place-based transformations has been, near and dear to my heart. It's something that I think is going to, carry on a legacy in green infrastructure investments for a long time for the city. And so being able to come back to this community, this wonderful community, and be able to see, some of this work as well as interact with the people and the wonderful connections I've been able to make over the last 15 months. It's only the beginning. I always like to say, see you later rather than goodbye. But this is a beautiful recognition, and I just want to say I really appreciate it sincerely from the bottom of my heart. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Ready to go? Yes. Do you want us down there?
Yeah.
Where's the dog?
I'm a little moss.
All right, Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing us a moment to honor Sergeant McNeil and K-9 Ryder. Unfortunately, K-9 Ryder couldn't be here tonight because Sergeant McNeil is alone at the helm at the police station and was able to dash out for a minute to accept this on the behalf of the Eastpointe Police Department. We want to thank Sergeant McNeil and K-9 Ryder for their dedicated service from April of 2019 until June of 2024. They made a big difference and a big impact with the police department as far as solving crime, catching bad guys, and a lot of PR for the police department, a lot of recognition. So wanted to present Sergeant McNeil with this plaque. It has a picture of his dog emblazoned on it, his dates of service, and it also has the K-9 prayer, which I would read. However, I'm a former K-9 handler and I wouldn't make it through. So congratulations, sir. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's take a picture.
Radio, fine.
Come on, let's take a picture. Excuse me.
Radio, power 5, 6.
What'd you say? All right, thank you, everyone. And we will now call the roll, please.
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Curley.
Here.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Here.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Here.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Here.
Moving on to approval of the agenda. Before someone makes a motion, I would like to add actually as an item. Appointments to the Construction Board of Appeals.
Second that.
Anything else? I guess that would be my motion, seconded by Councilman DeMonico. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to hearing of the public. The first hearing of the public is now open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
Hello, my name's Steve Gunn from Wash Point Car Wash on the corner of 9 Mile and Saxony. I've been in business over there for 54 years, and I've seen a lot of things come and go. I understand that you're going to be doing a traffic study for the Phase 3 on the 9 Mile Road project coming up, perhaps in September or October. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be done. I know you're trying to see if it's going to be feasible to do a 3-lane road in the Phase 3 of the project. Phase 1 and Phase 2, they're going to be 5 lanes. That's already been baked in to the plan, I understand. Now we're going to see if Phase 3 will work with a 3-lane or not. I think that this decision should be revisited by the council. I think the original 5-lane plan should be completed in Phase 3. We all know that the traffic counts on 9 Mile are down. Of course they're down. I mean, when you've got 2 years of construction, sewer construction, it's to be expected that people are going to find a different route to avoid the congestion and all the construction that's going on. That's natural. That's what's going to happen. And people are avoiding 9 Mile. They're cutting down the side streets. They're using Stevens. They're using Topher, maybe 8 Mile, maybe 10 Mile. Given a choice, their first choice would be 9 Mile. When it's complete, these people are going to come back to that road. If you do a traffic study now or in the near future, I believe that you're going to generate artificial numbers. I don't know how this is going to be accurate in making a decision that we're going to have to live with for the next 20 years. You got Phase 1 and Phase 2, 5 lanes. That's baked in. In addition, on 9 Mile, if you go east of the city, you go west of the city, it's 5 lanes both ways. And if you take this traffic flow down to 3 lanes for the short distance of Phase 3, I don't see where it serves any really useful purpose. It's going to permanently alter traffic volumes to the secondary roads like Stevens or like Topher, which people are using now to avoid the congestion. These are secondary roads. These are roads where the kids are playing on the side streets. 9 Mile is designed to handle the volume, not the secondary roads. You don't want to turn that into a permanent thing. Now, I've been up and down this road. I've talked to dozens of business owners in the area on 9 Mile. And
You have 30 seconds?
they're all telling me the same thing. Businesses are down 10 to 30%, maybe more. That's understandable. You have road construction. I don't want to see that turn into a permanent thing. You got to remember that this volume of these cars didn't disappear. They went elsewhere, but they are going to come back eventually. Don't make a long-term decision on short-term data on that traffic count. So I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Stephen Hammondtree. Pardon me, what is the time limit?
3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Stephen Hammondtree, and I live on Forest Avenue. Due to mental and physical disabilities, nobody in my house drives or owns a car. I use a bike to get around, and I use the bus to get around. And I've been noticing some things within the city that are making that more difficult. There are bus stops on 9 Mile, for example, eastbound at Donald, that have had the accessibility removed. From the sidewalk to the curb, there used to be what's called a key walk, just an entirely paved path between the sidewalk and curb, and half of that has been removed in the road construction that's happened so far. At Gratiot, one of the most major stops on the route, there used to be pretty much everything you could want at a bus stop: a shelter, a place to sit, trash can, bike rack, real-time display for when buses are actually going to show up. Even the bus stop sign itself is gone. I can't imagine SMART would have made this change on purpose. I believe it was done by the construction company. And at the intersection of 10 Mile and Gratiot, it is no longer possible to get a walk signal across Gratiot. I believe someone probably changed the programming to require a button to be pressed. That's been happening up and down Gratiot, but there is no button to press. I would like to see these issues rectified, not just swept under the rug like it's felt like the bus stop accessibility issue has been since I left a voicemail about a month and a half ago. Also, as I've just heard, if you are reconfiguring 9 Mile, I would like bike lanes to be part of the discussion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taquan Foster. I am a business owner, also a resident of Eastpointe, Michigan. Mayor Kleinfeld, I did send you an email and also maybe a few more people that I forwarded. Did you guys get it? Okay, so my concern, I'll just read it over again. Dear City of Eastpointe, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Taquan Foster. I am the owner of Another World Virtual Reality Park, which is the first virtual reality arena in Michigan. Located at 16914 East 9 Mile Road, located between Cushing and Rain Street. I am writing this letter to express my concern regarding the recent proposal to remove parking spaces in front of my business. These parking spaces are crucial for the convenience of our customers, many of whom rely on the easy access to our store. The removal of these spaces could significantly impact our business as customers. Accessibility is a key factor in our ability to serve the community effectively. Limited parking may deter potential customers, thereby affecting our daily operations and revenue. I respectfully request that the city consider this proposal or explore other solutions that would not negatively affect local businesses. We are open to discuss potential compromises or adjustments that could address the city's needs while still supporting our business. Thank you for your attention in this matter. We have people coming from Canada, from Ohio, from all over to come to Another World. And for them to travel these far distances, like I said, Canada, Chicago, Ohio, and for them to come all this way and not have any parking spaces, it would be, it's very detrimental to my business and what we're trying to do. That was one of the reasons why I chose Eastpointe instead of downtown Detroit. So, I mean, I'm bringing money to the city. If you guys could, somehow, if we can work something out with another plan as far as removing those spaces, that would be great. I plan on staying here. I want to stay here. I want to build here. I want to grow, continue to grow here. So if you guys could please consider that. And that's it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Guilford Vaughn. I want to speak on the Sheets Restaurant. Is it an appropriate time now to do that?
Yes.
Okay. At the Planning Commission meeting, we spoke of the driveway leading from Sheets onto Beaconsfield. Now, Beaconsfield leads to, well, goes all the way down to Spindler, then it turns off. But my concern is when people leave that driveway coming out of Sheets, making that left turn, they're going to find that Norton Street would be a direct route to Kelly. And they're going to be using it a lot. And right now, I live on Norton, and I've spoken to other neighbors, and we had increased traffic already during the summer months. Last night at 2 a.m., a guy decided he wanted to test his motorcycle's loudness when he turned the corner off of Beaconsfield. I could hear him coming. Then when he got to Beaconsfield, he made the turn, and he just wide open all the way down to Kelly. And our neighborhood has been quiet, and I like to keep it that way. We have kids playing on that street, but once we get that restaurant there and the left turn is allowed onto Beaconsfield, we're going to have increased traffic, pedestrian and vehicular. So Sheets said they would put a no left turn sign there, but that doesn't work. If you look at that gas station right there on the corner, they got two huge signs that said no turns. And I guarantee you can stand there any time of the day and they turn into that driveway in the gas station, both driveways. So that's my major concern, not to have any left turn from Sheets onto Beaconsfield. There's plenty of room on 9 Mile where they can put an additional entrance if they need it. But like I said, I've been there long enough where Aldi's and all the other businesses that are there are doing okay. Office Depot, other than the floods, they're doing okay. So we don't need a driveway from Sheets parking lot onto Beaconsfield. Like I say, it's a safety hazard, and it's just, it will disturb our peace. And that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council. Mr. DeMonico Jr., I had the
Could you, not to cut you off, could you just state your name first and then?
John Solera,
Thank you very
Eastpointe,
much.
Kelly Road. I had the unfortunate circumstance of running across one of your supporters online about a month ago. He was bragging that he had been banned from Deroni's website. My question is, and I know you're not going to answer the question, this is not a question and answer. My question in my own mind is, are you at war with the businesses on 9 Mile over this road diet plan? That's a question I have. Concerning 9 Mile Road, 9 Mile Road was widened back in the day to facilitate the auto plants in the area. That's why Sheets is at 9 and 9 and the expressway. We have 2 auto plants on Mound and 9 Mile Road. You go north from there and you just run through a whole line of industrial sites. That's why 9 Mile Road was widened in the day. This nonsense of taking it back, roundabouts, is the silliest thing I have ever heard. Concerning the seeds, the lease to the garden, Urban Seed. I don't know what that property's worth. I've got a estimate from Miss Waltham, is that your name? I'm sorry. But maybe 200,000. It's 0.9 of an acre. But that may be an old estimate. So we don't know what you're giving away here. We have no idea. Mr. Harvey, Curley, I'm sorry, voted for a $200,000 parking lot a half hour after you voted for a budget with a $300,000 deficit. I'm confused here, very confused as to what's going on. So we need more information on urban seed. I want to know what you're giving away, what it's really worth,
You have
who
30
you're
seconds.
giving it to. Pardon?
Oh, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, and I'll stop with that there. We need more police officers. Jennifer Granholm, Gretchen Whitmer has probably hundreds of thousands of immigrants in this state. The police chief needs a full staff because crime is coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Mary Hall Rayford. I'm going to take the conversation to a different direction, hopefully, that some will appreciate, some may not, and that's okay. If we want to see a better Eastpointe, a better Michigan, a better country, we must get out and vote. Our voting record is abysmal. It really is. I don't know why people don't think their vote won't count, but it won't count if you don't vote. And I'm not telling anybody how to vote. I'm saying vote. We have a voice in a democracy. We need to start exercising it so we'll have more to be happy about and celebrate than complain about. Every election is important. The people that we allow to get into office because we don't vote, that's a problem as well. So it's not just a matter of voting for who you want to see, but it's a matter of not voting and letting others get in that could be detrimental. So I'm encouraging everyone here and those listening, please don't let November 5th slip your mind. Vote with absentee ballot, vote early, vote on that day, but please vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Lacey Heber, Eastpointe resident. The last time I was here, I addressed the DPW and signage, road signage, danger around St. Veronica's. On July 30th, I was so excited to finally see DPW trucks coming to put some signage up. That is a very sharp turn going around St. Veronica's and Topher between Redmond and Universal. I live on the north side of Topher, Glander, and the south side of St. Veronica's. The DPW gentleman came. Now that's east and a west going street. They only put signage going east. Going west. So as you're coming off 25 miles of Topher, you see the turn signs. But as you're coming off a 40-mile-an-hour road of Gratiot, most people ignore that 25-mile-an-hour sign, and there's no turn signs on that turn. But then the more I looked, Mr. Bellucci has turn signs when there's no turns. He has children walking with no crosswalks, going to no street across the street, no pavement. Even down here in front of City Hall, in front of St. Peter's, about 100 yards from the stoplight, there's children walking. Then there's another sign right by the lake, children walking with an arrow pointing down. This was a waste of our taxpayers' money. I'm hoping Chief of Police Hines could please do a walkthrough, have his police officers start casing the neighborhood to see what signage is proper and what is not. To put two turn signs only going west and not going east does not solve a problem. There are still no stop signs at the corners of Topher and Redmond. There is still no another do not enter sign at Universal. In between my last time that I've been at a meeting, the painting department from the DPW came out. and the wider sign of a one-way street.
You have 30 seconds.
I thought it was great he was going to do it. He only went halfway, so it looks like it's acceptable to go down that one-way street. I guess I want to say that, and I want to add that our outsourcing, why is that necessary? That's only one more hand in the cookie jar. And I think we need to get back to the older days where we did our garbage collection, we hired within the city, and we took care of our own things instead of outsourcing everything. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor. My name is Mark Hicks. I've been living in Eastpointe for over 25 years. I live on Holbrook between Beaconsfield and Petersburg. Our street has never been repaved. It is full of potholes. It's like it's the forgotten street. We got so many potholes, you try to avoid them, but you're going into another pothole. So with all this traffic that will come with the Sheetz gas station and restaurant, I agree with the people that spoke earlier, that will become a very congested area. Them coming out of that gas station, coming out of the other gas station, and then trying to get to 9 Mile, to get to the freeway, that's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess. And like I said, I've been living over there 25 years. I've watched it. When traffic has been, streets have been closed, and with the construction, it's a mess now. So I can imagine what traffic just created by the two businesses that's there. The people that live on Beaconsfield, I would not want to be. I'm glad I'm further down the block, so I don't live right up on it, but I can see, just like the gentleman said, coming through Norton, coming through Holbrook, those are the shortcuts, and there's kids out there. We don't need that traffic. And I hope you guys consider that, but also consider repaving Holbrook, because if you ride by there, you won't believe how bad it is. And we've been dealing with it for some years. I appreciate your attention to the matter.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else?
Hi, Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. I was also at the Planning Commission meeting talking about Sheetz back on August 1st. I know this is going to come before you probably next week or later on in the month, and Ms. Holman has told me that your function is to approve or not approve the special land use portion of it. So I kind of went through some of the objectives of the special land use as far as our ordinances and the master plan. The first one being that projects should be in harmony with the master plan. Master plan goals are to remediate, prevent potential brownfield contamination. This project, of course, being a gas station, would create contamination, perceived contamination, which is brownfield, so it doesn't follow that goal. Second, harmony with existing character. There's already 2 existing gas stations right there between 94 and Kelly Road. This would make 3 in a space of 1,000 feet. There's also an additional gas station over on the St. Clair Shore side. None of this is harmonious with the residential area. Master plan, I believe, we try and protect and preserve residential areas, and putting a gas station right behind a residential area doesn't seem very protective or preservative. Should not be hazardous or disruptive. Carbon emissions are hazardous to health, and noise from car vibrations are disruptive to quality of life. Gas stations are hazardous because they increase the likelihood of ground and stormwater contamination. Runoff from gas residue on the pavement seeps into the soil. Fourth, improvement to the community. In order to improve communities and reduce the effect of global climate change, the U.S. has a goal to be carbon neutral by 2050. Gas stations reinforce the use of gas-fueled automobiles. Therefore, the development of new gas stations does not improve the community and is a detriment to global climate change. Fifth, adequate public services. That would involve additional police and fire protection. I don't know if anybody's spoken with the police chief about his opinion of the location as far as safety, crime, and additional traffic in that area. You know, that I can't ask the question, maybe one of you would.
You
Another
have 30 seconds.
issue is the smoke, fume, glare, noise, vibration, and odor pollution. That gas station involved these activities that will be detrimental to a person's welfare due to these things. They're notorious for their gasoline odor and impact quality of life. These answers I'm giving you, these are what you guys decided on a gas station 16 months ago over on 10 Mile Road. This is why you did not approve a gas station near a residential area, concerns about climate change and hazardous to the environment. So I would think we're still kind of on the same page, so I would
Thank you.
consider that when you're talking about special land use approval.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Debbie Hicks, and I live on Holbrook, as my husband mentioned. We've been there close to 25 years or more, and my concern, even though I am not directly in front of Sheetz, the concern is about the delivery trucks that would be coming to Sheetz. The beer, the alcohol, the food, all of those trucks coming, that is noise and vibration. We live directly behind First Choice. We're awakened every morning at 4 o'clock. Their high-low drivers are out, they're banging, they're opening up dumpsters, they're closing dumpsters. You can't sleep through that. You can't sleep through delivery trucks that are going down the side of the wall, shaking the area. Matter of fact, they are responsible for our area of the wall, which is cracking, breaking away, and they've done some makeshift patches. But that noise and trucks of that size and noise of that size is damaging. It's damaging to our rest, our sleep, our well-being, and it's also damaging to our property. Things are falling apart from those large, huge delivery trucks. So I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? Seeing none, the first hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. Item A for the regular meeting minutes of July 16, 2024.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we accept the minutes of the regular meeting of July 16th, 2024.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
All right, item B, closed session minutes for July 16, 2024.
Mr. Mayor, I'll motion we approve the closed session meeting minutes of July 16, 2024.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
All right, we have no scheduled hearings or unfinished business, so we'll move on to reports from administration. We'll start with the city manager, Ms. Walton.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First, I'd like to congratulate John Kraus. It's been an incredible addition to the office. It'll be hard with you transitioning out. You've definitely fit in incredible and done an amazing job for the city, as well as helping us with so many things moving along and so many sustainability initiatives that will continue to move forward. So we thank you for your service, and we know wherever you do end up, hopefully back in Eastpointe, wherever you do end up, you will make an incredible impact on that community that you serve. I'd also like to say congratulations to Sergeant McNeil and K-9 Officer Ryder. They've been an incredible addition to the department. Being a K-9 officer, as Chief Haynes had mentioned, is an incredible dedication, and he continues to care for Ryder and all of his needs. It is a 24/7 job, so we are incredibly thankful to Sergeant McNeil, his dedication to the community and continued service. My next thank you is to all of the election workers. Our clerk's office is absolutely incredible and works incredible hours prior to the election, during early voting, and on election night, and following up and doing the cleanup. So we're incredibly thankful for their office, their dedication and commitment every election with all of the changes and being so intent on ensuring that we have a safe and secure election. We also do not get this job done without an incredible amount of election workers. So we're very thankful for their continued efforts in showing up on a regular basis, very, very early in the morning, sometimes 5:45, and not getting done until they close out the precinct after 9 p.m. And so we are incredibly thankful, and we can't do and host elections without their support. And if anyone is interested in being an election worker, we're still hiring for November. So please grab an application from the clerk's office and join us and our incredible team. Rare is hosting the Rockin' Summer Nights tomorrow at 5 p.m. That includes a concert as well and a lot of family-friendly activities. So if you're interested, stop out at John F. Kennedy Park over on Stevens, and they'd love to have you. There's a lot of incredible vendors that will be there and a lot of activities, again, family-friendly. We are moving forward with the design of the police department and court building over on 9 Mile. We have scheduled to ensure that we are transparent and the community is involved in this process. We are hosting those meetings in a public format. That meeting is this Friday at 1 p.m. here in council chambers. So if you're interested in partaking or giving any feedback on those plans or listening in, please join us on Friday at 1. We also have a place on our website that hosts plans, members that are a part of the committee, and a section where you can provide feedback or any input or concerns that you may have that will be provided to the committee that is reviewing this prior to it coming to all of council. We've also heard several concerns with 10 Mile and the road condition. Thank you to Senator Kleinfeld and her advocacy at the state level. We did have an earmark that will be afforded to the city of Eastpointe when the budget goes in place October 1st of $3 million to reconstruct 10 Mile Road. And so we are in conversations with Macomb County to get that project done and improve that road. And as a part of it, our economic development team has actually put in a grant for a road safety audit, so they'll be reviewing the safety of that road, which will go into the design plans. And so that is planned for October, which will take into account a lot of the traffic. I know that was one of the concerns. We want to make sure that kids are back in school and the true traffic counts are accounted for when we do review the safety, and that is a part of the construction plan when we take it to the county. Next up, we have a citywide garage sale this weekend, so if you're interested and you want to clean some things out, August 16th through the 18th, you do not need a permit, but it is citywide. So we are hopeful that many of our community residents will participate and have a lot of the incredible items that you have, so we can kind of share and catch different treasures at each other's homes. So again, citywide garage sale, no permit is required, and it is this weekend, Friday through Sunday. And lastly, I'd like to congratulate Brianna Parsons. She's our Administrative Services Specialist. She is one of, I believe, less than 30 women that were accepted into the Michigan Municipal League's Women's Municipal Leadership Program. It's a very competitive program to get into, and she's the second person in Eastpointe and across the state to get into that program. So we are incredibly excited for her in this journey. So congratulations, Brianna. We're excited. And then lastly, I know Councilmember Curley has mentioned he was going to ask about a traffic study that is going to happen on 9 Mile. Consumers is still working on the east and north side of 9 Mile. And so that traffic study is not planned and again is scheduled to occur after Labor Day. And then with that, Mayor, Council, I can take any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions?
Sure, maybe not exactly a question, more of a request, or just something to look out for. When we have the long grass cut, I know some of the properties that get cut, of course, are very long and have a lot to do, but if we can make sure they're just like cleaned up as best as possible, with all the grass that's cut, bagged and things like that, or raked probably in most instances, that would be good. So it's nice after they're done.
Certainly, thank you.
Mayor, you're right. I did ask about the study on 9 Mile Road, and I do have some questions at the end of the meeting during our comments.
All right, does anyone have any other questions? We'll move on to the Finance Director's report. Mr. Blum.
Yes, Mayor and Council. I wanted to give an update on the Michigan pension grant that I mentioned a few meetings ago. Our application was in, and I know they're moving on it because they asked for additional information on where we wanted to have it deposited. It will be placed into the pension system. Just so you know, I'll let you know when I get a figure. The other thing is an email was sent out, I believe last week, regarding a refund from the sanitary district that has been deposited back into the sewer fund, and that will offset some of the operational costs. But just hopefully you've seen that. We did get a water refund. It was less than $9,000, so hardly worth mentioning. But that's all I have for this evening.
Does anyone have any questions? All right, we'll move on to the city attorney's report. Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. I do have an update regarding the opioid settlements. I did receive notification recently that 4 different payments were going to be sent out. The one is the Allergan payment for $7,272.53. There was also a CVS payment that was going to be distributed in the amount of $5,006. Also a TIVA payment in the amount of $5,742.19. And also a Janssen payment, and this one's a little bit bigger, in the amount of $26,403.53. I believe Mr. Blum is in receipt of those payments. Update regarding the adult use recreational marijuana ordinance. I have completed a draft that I'm still working on. I anticipate I should be able, or will be distributing that to the mayor, council, and city administration by the end of this upcoming weekend for review. And then everyone can have an opportunity to review it, make changes, comment, and perhaps we can set it for a meeting in the near future for public comment as well. And once we have a working agreement, then scheduled for a first reading. And then, of course, council's in receipt of our monthly status report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions? All right, we'll move on. Thank you. Move on to new business. Item A, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 24-1237, the amended DDA development and TIF plans.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, just a couple quick notes I wanted to make. I guess one from last time, sorry, I think I was a little confused just because the things were in a different order than the other agenda. The ordinance was included. I'd mentioned that before. But then also, I just wanted to make sure we knew, because I think in our motion last time we didn't incorporate the suggested changes, and they are incorporated, the 2 from last time, in the packet this time, and then there's this third one here. So we'll just make sure that we include that in the motion. I guess I can just make the motion at this point, but I just wanted to make sure that was clearer than last time. So I'd move we approve and adopt ordinance number 24-1237 and the amended downtown development district development and tax increment financing plans with the additional clerical change recommended by administration.
Is there support?
Support.
All right. Anyone have any questions on this one? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. Moving on to item B, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 24-1240 to amend chapter 18, article 4, weed control in refuse storage. Did anyone want to open up with any comments or a motion?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. I guess on this one, I think it'll be very good, first of all, just to make this much clearer than it has been for a long time, so I'm excited to do that. I think one maybe suggestion or request I'd have is that we include the amount of time after someone would get a notice before we'd be able to cut the property or take care of the weeds or in that section. I think the amount of time was not in here unless I was missing.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I believe that that's going to be addressed in under section 18-84, subparagraph A, procedures. The building department shall establish reasonable and necessary procedures for the enforcement of this article, which will then be posted on the city website, posted here at City Hall. I believe that the intent is for city administration to include that time frame within those procedures.
That was, oh, sorry, my recollection was we wanted to leave it vague enough for them to establish procedures. But I would like it to include at least 24 hours. I think during our discussion last time, it was sort of kind of understood that would really realistically end up being closer to 48.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
I guess 24 is all right. I was maybe going to suggest 48 hours, but I mean, I think, yeah, like you said, and at least just so that it is clear, I think we should include at least that minimum in there, and they can, obviously, depending on what day and how often we're doing things, they'll get to the lawns as we practically can. What did everyone else think on time then after the notice?
Mr. Mayor, I think I mentioned before when we talked about the 24 hours, I thought that was a pretty short time. So I would encourage the council to approve 48 hours rather than 24 hours.
How do the other members feel?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, I understand with what Rich had said. I guess I kind of thought that information would be put on the notice, but I understand a little more clarity. I have no problem with that. If it mentions at least 48 hours, I think that's fair.
All right, well, looks like there's more support for the 48, so do you have any other things to address in there?
And I think I just had one clerical thing. I think there was in, in C1, in the appeal section. I think, Rich, sorry, I should have probably just mentioned this to you ahead of time. It says 18-83 or 18-8. I think it's supposed to be 85. I think it's just missing the 5.
When that was sent over, sometimes I get these weird graphics, and
Yeah.
sometimes they delete, so I think that's, but yeah, that'll be noted. Thank you.
All right. Well, then, yeah, if no one else had anything, I can make a proposed motion then.
Go ahead.
All right, I will motion, let me scroll back up here. I'll move that we introduce and give first reading to ordinance number 24-1240 to amend Chapter 18, Article 4, Weed Control and Refuse Storage of the city's Code of Ordinances, and schedule the second reading for the August 20th, 2024 regular city council meeting with 2 amendments. One, that the, let's see, which section was this? That the that section 18-84 include a 48-hour time period after the notice that a resident would have to address the issue, and then that we fix the clerical issue in appeal C1.
All right, is there support?
Support.
Anything else? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Great, moving on to item C, first reading of ordinance number 24-1241 to amend Chapter 1, Section 1 through 10, notices.
All right, Mr. Mayor, one quick comment I guess I just want to make for the notices, how we were going to collect email addresses. I guess I think everyone's not going to jump on that so that they can get their notice that their lawn needs to be cut quicker. But if we can do other things in the city too by email, which I think this will allow us because it's something that's referenced by other ordinances, I think that would be cool, so that we can get things out quicker instead of having to send letters, which of course is much more expensive also. So just think that would be nice. But that was also, then I'll motion that we introduce and give first reading to ordinance number 24-1241 to amend chapter 1, section 1-10, notices of the city's code of ordinances, and schedule the second reading for the August 20, 2024 regular city council meeting.
I'll second.
All right, anything else to add? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Moving on to item D, award contract for 2024 sewer rehabilitation by full-length CIPP lining. Before we go into this, I believe our engineers got an email today. There was a slight error with one of the bids.
Yeah, there is an error on the bid tabulation that we found after we submitted the correspondence for award. On the bid tabulation, the first item for basically for mobilization, for insurance bonds, initial setup fee, there is a maximum amount of $11,850 that can be bid on that. The low bid contractor bid above that cost, so that cost needs to be adjusted to that maximum amount of $11,850. So with that adjustment, the new construction cost, total construction cost, instead of $412,070, it should be $403,420 with a 10% contingency. The total cost of the project is $443,762. So the motion tonight should be to award the project with a 10% contingency and a not to exceed cost of $443,762.
I can make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'll move we award the 2024 sewer rehabilitation by full-length CIPP lining to DVM Utilities Incorporated in the amount of $443,762.
I'll second.
All right, did anyone have any other questions on that? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item E, approval of projects for the 2025 Macomb County Community Development Block Grant Program. Did anyone want to open up with any comments or a motion?
I guess, Mr. Mayor, maybe one question I had. Could we talk about the, maybe it's a question for Mr. Kern, the differences in the resurfacing and reconstruction amounts? I see we've included both for the ones that we've suggested reconstruction. It seems like, at least, I guess mainly why I'm asking is because the reconstruction costs seem lower, much lower than what we've had in the past.
Yeah, so looking at the street, there's 8 streets that we're looking at for CDBG. We looked at all 8 streets and tried to identify which techniques would be best as far as resurfacing, reconstruct, and patching. A couple of these streets, 3 of these streets currently are concrete streets with an asphalt cap, so we looked at both the resurfacing option and the reconstruction option. Resurfacing does come in slightly cheaper than the reconstruct, and resurfacing will last you about 15, 20 years, where a reconstruct will last you about 35 to 40 years. So in certain cases, it is more cost effective to go with the reconstruction route. As the project it'll last longer. There were a few streets, concrete streets, that did not have asphalt caps, where we determined that concrete patching, extensive concrete patching would suffice in order to improve the roadway. So we did provide the cost for patching on 3 of the streets. On Lexington, we did look at trying to patch Lexington from 9 miles to Stevens to try and see if we could save some costs there, but that street, we determined it's too far gone. That's why on Lexington, we would recommend a full reconstruction, which is only $300,000 more than just doing patching. The reconstruction costs that are on here are based on recent local reconstructions that we have done here in the last couple of years, that's how those dollar figures have been determined, and those are based on current dollars.
Okay. Thank you for the answers.
Did anyone have any other questions? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the submittal of Wilmot for resurfacing from Cimarron to Stevens as priority number 1, and Nevada for patching from Topher to Ash as priority number 2 for the Macomb County Competitive Brick and Mortar Grant Program for 2025 Community Development Block Grant funds.
All right, is there support?
Support.
Any questions?
Well, I guess my question, I guess after that description, I think it'd be more worthwhile to do just the reconstruction option. I think the priority and order of the streets is fine. Just for those 3, yeah, I should have printed this one page out since it's sideways, but for the 3 that are, thanks. For the 3 that are suggested as resurfacing, personally, I'd want to lean more towards doing the reconstruction portion, not only because in the very long term, it's much better, as Mr. Kern said, in terms of dollars, but also then they're easier to fix then. Even if, I've looked at the PACER ratings we've done, we just did them again recently, and my street, just with the patching alone, and I know this is the case with some others, my PACER rating on my street's actually higher just from a little bit of patching. So if we can maintain more of the streets like that, it's not very easy, not as easy to maintain well the asphalt streets. So that'd just be my suggestion. I'd rather do that.
I guess my question is that's feasible and for us to do it that way versus just the resurfacing and the patchwork.
Yeah, we certainly can, certainly do the reconstruct. I know talking with finance earlier, I know the funding is, I was $150,000 is eligible through CDBG. The rest of the costs would have to come through Act 51 local funds. It's my understanding that there's enough money in that account that we could do a reconstruct.
Okay. Well, I'll amend my motion to go with Councilman DeMonico's recommendation.
Was there a second for that? I'm sorry.
Mr. Curley.
Councilman Curley, if he's still,
Yes.
seconding
I'll
it.
second the amended motion.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
All right, moving on to item F, discussion on proposed Urban Sea Community Garden lease agreement. Did anyone on council want to open up with any comments on this?
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Have we reviewed this with John Hoffman from Urban Seed? Have we had?
After this came up for discussion at a previous council meeting, both myself and Ms. Walton and Ms. Holman and Mr. Blum, we had a telephone conference with him to answer questions and review it. And so the proposed lease that is before the council this evening has been reviewed by him, and he doesn't have any objections to it.
Okay, thank you. Just curious.
I had also talked to Mr. Hoffman about it, and just because I had questions about what maintenance of the parking lot meant. I know that we would repair it. Is administration's understanding of this that we would be the ones to maintain, I guess if it's like grass cutting or lawn maintenance, that we would continue to maintain that on the parking lot even after they take over the rest of the property? Does that question make sense?
Yes, you're saying like in between, I don't know the right, but in between the slats? Like
Yeah.
For the new permeable pavement. So when we spoke to John, he was fine taking those on and felt that, actually he had ideas of planting, something different than grass so that they didn't have that issue. So they didn't see that as being like a high maintenance issue moving forward. And he was fine with the city taking care of the grass to the length of the contract, and then they would take that over. So his plan was essentially for us to plant something other than grass, so that it wasn't something that, would grow over and cause significant maintenance for them to maintain.
And I think, I spoke to him too, I think he mentioned clover or something like that. And I think administration can figure out whatever you want to plant there that works, but I just wanted to be mindful of that so that we're not sending someone over there to cut that tiny area when they're doing the whole property. I think it's 2 years from now before they take over the grass, so. But other than that, I thought the contract looked good.
I have a few questions. One was the cutting of the grass, and I assume by this contract, the city would cut the grass outside of the area where the vegetables grow, correct? We don't go inside and cut the grass there, do we?
I believe they cut as much as they can. So part of like the back of the property is actually kind of like flooded out. And there've been times that like the boxes have been damaged. So whatever we hear from John is what they cut for that property. So we follow their direction and their request. So there are times that like around the boxes need maintenance, but I think they're also trying to put like wood chips and different things to like eliminate the need for grass cutting. So I think it changes over time as they're investing in the property.
I guess my question would be that it says here that landlord shall be responsible for grass cutting through November of 2026. So I guess my first question, and I don't know who would, I guess maybe our finance director, I don't understand why we would take the responsibility to cut the grass for 2 years after we approve a contract. What are we talking about cost-wise to cut the grass for 2 years? How much does it cost for each time we go out there?
Actually, I don't know the cost for that specific parcel. The 2 years came about because Councilman DeMonico had suggested 3 years, and the current grass contract actually goes for 2 more years. So rather than trying to remove that parcel from the current contract, it was kind of a, go-between that we would just let it roll out through the current contract. But as far as how much that parcel cost individually, I do not know.
Removing it from the contract with the people that do it is, hi, this is Harvey, I want to remove a certain area. I mean, there's not a problem to do that.
No. But it was a concession on the 3-year suggestion.
I believe the cut is $60 a week. Ms. Holman, correct me if that's wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
It's $60 a week for the cut.
So somebody add that real quick. $60 a week times 2 years would be about how much?
Well, you don't cut the grass through the winter, you only cut it.
Well, I'm saying what the weeks that we cut it.
12, that's 13 weeks maybe?
13? All right.
26 weeks for lawn season.
So what did you come up with?
Yeah, I used to come.
About $1,400 for us to cut the grass after it's not our property, correct?
Well, it is our.
It is our property, but we're not, you're right, but we're not. The second question, and I don't read a lot of contracts, but is it normal to give people a year to terminate a contract? It says no less than 1 year of written notice to terminate a contract. So somebody help me out. Mr. Attorney, is that normal to take a whole year to terminate a contract?
It depends on the parties, it depends on what the property is being leased for. I believe that language was similar to what we had entered into with the military museum. But it's whatever the parties can agree on as far as what's reasonable. So there's no general time frame on providing notice, there's no set rules.
So if we made a determination that we have somebody really hot to take over that property, we would have to give the people there at least 12 months' notice.
Under the way this is proposed.
The way, yeah. Okay, I don't have any more questions.
I did just have a comment. Well, first of all, with the notice, this is a group that's operated for a long time, but really just incorporated and intends to get grants and things of that nature for that property. So it needs some sort of certainty that they're not getting kicked out tomorrow. But my comments related to the grass. The garden has existed there for a while, but there was never any formalized agreement. We were kind of playing fast and loose. And as we're going into this contract, they're taking over like water and sewer, which they weren't originally paying, and they are slowly going to be taking over the grass contract. So I know it's not as quick as a transition as we might have imagined, but I think ultimately what we're doing is giving them a little autonomy with the property, which they basically already have, and a little bit of certainty that we're not going to kick them out tomorrow, which, given what they do for the community, I
Right.
wouldn't want to do, so.
Well, let me add this too, that people are wondering why we're even doing this. But I've got to say that they do a great service for the community. What is it that their goal was 2,000 pounds of vegetables that they give to the needy free?
It's actually more.
Huh?
It's more than that.
More than now. So that's a lot of vegetables that they give away, that they grow and maintain and take care of. And the folks who have rented the box to grow their own vegetables are very happy the way they have been taken care of. If you've never went over there, just go there on Saturday, where most of the, well, at my age, young people, if you're 60, to me, you're young. So, but go over there on Saturday and take a look and talk to the folks. Yeah, well, what's the property worth? I don't know. What happens if the garden's there for 25, 30, 40 more years? I won't be around, but they might. And they're doing a service for the community. So sometimes we have to, there's an old song sung by Bing Crosby, you got to give a little, to take a little, before you take a little. So we're going to give it away. And I'm happy that we are, except for the two things I mentioned. I won't lose any sleep over it, but I'm not happy with those two items.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, and I had two just minor changes. Just in number 3, it says church missions, and I just suggest we just change that to like religious organizations, since church is a Christian-based term. And then in number 9, we have something that says like, or the building. It's like halfway through. There is no building, of course, on it, so I figured we can just get rid of those 3 words, and then that sentence still makes sense. It says, if during the term of this agreement, the premises are partially or totally destroyed by fire or other casualty, and the cost of restoring the premises to its prior condition, getting rid of or the building in the middle there, since there is no building. I thought those, if no one objected to those, I would motion that we approve it with those 2 small changes.
If I may, just having talked with the guys there, I mean, I would prefer to leave church in only because it's a very technical thing. That was one thing that they actually pointed out, that people from all walks of life did come over to participate, and they mentioned specifically, I talked to John specifically, he mentioned while talking with me about people from churches and other groups in the community. And I just happen to know the word for church is ecclesia, which means a called out assembly. It does not necessarily refer to Christian church. It could really be a group of people who believe something religiously. So it's a little thing just for that reason, and knowing the origin of that word, I would kind of feel more comfortable leaving it as it's written, and because I don't think it suggests anything as far as what any of us have to believe or what anyone practices. So, and because that they do receive participation, and I know even some parking is utilized by the local church, I think it would be good to leave it in as written. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I was just suggesting changing it to religious organizations, not removing it, just so it's a broader term, not removing it.
No, and I understand it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess, the term doesn't bother me that it's there because I still don't think it necessarily suggests Christian, even though, like, we know not everyone practices Christianity, but I don't think that it implies that. I mean, I think sometimes people will just think it just because, but, I wouldn't, that's just my position about it. And being that he mentioned it directly when they had their event there, I think for me, I think it's good leaving it as written.
Read it again, what you want to change it to.
Just change church missions to religious organizations.
Sounds pretty much the same to me.
Yeah.
Well, I think when you mentioned the church missions, sometimes my understanding of what a lot of the missions do is that, a lot of them have food bank or shelters or whatever. And so I think just saying religious organizations narrows the scope of what they actually do. So it may even take away from the charitable work that is done. And so I wouldn't want to discredit or diminish from that acknowledgement, because that is a good thing. You have a lot of organizations that do reach out to the community like that. And so if there are church missions that are actually reaching out to the community, providing food or shelter, I wouldn't want to diminish that significance by just broadening it out to just religious organizations, because that kind of takes away from or dilutes what it is that they actually provide.
Is there I'm sorry, did someone second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I think it's splitting hairs, to be honest. I think religious is fine. I think broadening it doesn't diminish.
Kind of does, but I won't sit up and argue about it any further. It actually does, and if you're the organization that's doing it, it dilutes really what it is that you're providing or that service that you're providing. And if someone is the recipient of that service, I would imagine that they have a great appreciation for what it is that they do, and for that acknowledgement.
I don't think, in all due respect, I don't think anything is going to be diluted. The words that Councilman DeMonico is suggesting still have the same scope of religious organizations or people who can be counted into the religious circle. And the fellas and the gals over there aren't using the two words, aren't going to feel that their mission has been demoted and diminished. I think they're still going to do what they've been doing for a number of years, which is incredible. But I don't have a problem with the words.
Well, I'm not referring to people of the urban seed or for the community garden as being the ones that are going to feel like their work is diminished. The organizations that partner with them and team up with them might. And as a person who has volunteered myself, I think that it does carry a significance when you identify it for what it is. And it's fine if you guys don't feel that it's diluting, that's fine. But I think that it kind of is.
Any other comments?
I mean, I think ultimately it's for the benefit of the community, the bottom line. I think that's what the whole gist of it is that it's just for the benefit of everyone, essentially. I mean, you can go there on a Saturday and, if they have cucumbers and you're interested in having some cucumbers, they have them. If you, want to help weed the garden, if you want to help water, they'll take the help. They'll take any kind of assistance that you want to offer. And, you can walk away with some fresh vegetables. It's a win-win.
Okay. Fine.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. Moving on to approval of smart municipal credit and community credit contract for fiscal year 2025.
Mr. Mayor,
if I would read the motion, folks watching and folks out here won't know what the heck we're talking about. So let me read this long paragraph to give everybody a sense of, gee, okay, that sounds, but just reading a recommendation motion won't help anybody. On November 20th, 2012, Smart, Rare, and the City of Eastpointe entered into a tri-party agreement for Rare to provide public transportation services on behalf of the City of Eastpointe, and that all municipal and community credit normally owned by the City of Eastpointe would be directly involved to Rare, provided to Rare. The attorney for Smart recommendation that the city enter into a direct agreement to authorize the transfer of these funds. Smart has presented a contract for fiscal year 2025, which identifies $32,120 in municipal credit funds and $65,690 in community credit funds that the City of Eastpointe authorizes to be paid directly to Rare. The community credit funds are an increase of $3,131 from fiscal year 2024. And Mr. Mayor, having said that, I would move to approve the municipal credit and community credit contract for fiscal year 2025 and authorize the city manager to execute the document.
Second.
Did that make it really clear for everybody?
No. Say yes.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Does anyone have any questions related to it? All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes. Moving on to item H, School Resource Officer Agreement with Eastpointe Community Schools 2024-25 fiscal year. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I would move that we accept the recommendation by the city manager and the police chief to extend the school resource officer contract between the Eastpointe Community School District and the Eastpointe Police Department for one additional year, and to allow the city manager to sign the contract extension letter on behalf of the city of Eastpointe.
I'll second that.
All right, any questions?
No, but I would like to mention the financial impact, because I'm sure people are probably wondering how it's funded. The financial impact is 25% of the cost of the school resource officer, 25% from school district, 50% from Michigan State Police Grant.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Moving on to item I, award the 2024 to 2026 custodial services contract. Would anyone like to open up?
I have some, I'm sorry, I have some questions. First of all, I'd like to ask, because our current contract is with McCoy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how do we feel about them as our custodial? Have we had complaints, any kind of comments or anything like that? I'm just curious.
We have. Do you want me to detail some of the issues, or is that how you?
I mean, there's significant complaints that we want to change it. Here's my thing. They're local, so it's kind of nice to keep business locally, especially if we can support them in any way, shape, or form. But I really don't know. I mean, I've seen the people here. I mean, the building is clean, but I don't know, what kind of issues there are from a day-to-day.
Absolutely. We have had some significant concerns that have come in during the length of the contract. We have had general concerns of cleaning, and they've been responsive, and supervisors have come in to assist. Our building specifically has probably transitioned through at least 5 different staff members, if not more. Some of the security issues that are of much more concern are within the police department. It was actually identified during the length of the contract that they have placed individuals that were actually on tether within our police department, which is against the contract. We have a requirement to go through background checks before they have access to all of those areas. We also had a conversation with the individual that was within the building. They had notified McCoy, and McCoy still sent them to work knowing of the situation that was ongoing. So we do have some issues in terms of performance, as well as compliance with the contract, as well as the background checks in some of our more sensitive areas of the city.
And when you had those complaints and concerns, you brought Mr. McCoy into your office and you chatted with him?
We did. It's actually not Mr. McCoy. We work with I think she's the operations manager. Her name is Jessica. We've had several conversations with her. She's had conversations with the police department. Ms. Homan has been in direct conversation and communication with her as well. We've also had some issues where a supervisor from McCoy has also had an outburst with an employee within the court building as well. So there have been some significant and concerning issues with the service. We do also want to support local, but with the concerns, especially with safety in those sensitive areas, we do have a concern with moving forward with their continued service.
Could I suggest maybe we, table this till the next meeting? I haven't, could we get some more information on this? I haven't heard about, I don't think, any of these issues until just now. I'd personally like to consider that, before voting on this contract then.
Are there specific information that you're looking for in regards to the information provided, just so that we're aware?
Well, I guess I at least have to think about this because I didn't know any of the things listed just now previous to, so I had assumed if anything that serious had happened, we would have heard, so then would have probably come into this meeting with a different opinion. So that's all, because I think I was leaning towards, since, it is an Eastpointe-based business, it is nice. The amount was actually lower than what we pay them right now, so I didn't see an issue there. And then it is, of course, higher than the low bid, but not by a huge amount. Most of the I think the top 5 firms, I don't have it up on my screen right now, were within, thousands of each other over 3 years, so.
I'm thinking the same thing, Mr. Mayor. This is the first time that I heard that there was any problem with McCoy, anything. And so I want to try to digest this. I came in here tonight thinking the same thing that Councilman DeMonico was thinking, that he's local and it was lower than what it was before. So you said, what specific things do you want? I guess I could, I don't know. I'll write you a list, I'll come talk to you, one of the two. And maybe I don't know, maybe you need somebody else there to talk to me. But
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
It's fine to table it.
Thank you.
As an administration, I'm not sure that you want to hear the details about dirty toilets, things that are not being done, such as that. I leave that to the city manager, but when there's poop in the toilet and we ask for it to be cleaned and it's not, and things get cleaned for a day or two and then it goes back to the same, be happy to let you know.
Thank you, Kim. Actually, at my age, you can say poop all you want. You won't make but I would like to hear everything. And you bring up some good points, but you're not going to shock me by bringing up everything. I think that's what helped me make a decision then. So that's all. That's it.
I just have to check off things I didn't think Harvey was going to say tonight.
Bingo.
Well, if we make the motion now to table it, that's it. You can't. So I want to give everybody else a chance to say something. If not, then I'll make a motion to table it till our next meeting's next Tuesday. That's not going to be enough time.
When is the contract up?
When? When's it up?
I believe it already is.
It is already up.
Well, gee, that's not the first time we operated this city with somebody working that the contract had already expired, so that's
Meeting after next, then?
the meeting after
Yeah.
next. I would move that we table this item for the meeting after next, which would be the first meeting in, what? September. September, okay. That's my motion.
Is there support?
Support that.
All right, any other comments? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes?
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the next item, which is item J, approval of police department accreditation contract. I had a couple of, I guess, comments, but did anyone want to open up to speak on this or make a motion?
You're talking about the pickup truck? No.
No, the accreditation contract.
Oh, the accreditation. I'm way ahead of myself. Go ahead.
All right, I guess the first question I had, when I looked at this, I wasn't sure if we just picked a company or if this is something we even considered, I guess, shopping around or going out to bid for. Chief Haynes, would you be the person to respond to that, I
Yes,
guess?
Mr. Mayor. So this is the only company that I am personally aware of. This is a company that works very closely with the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police and is recommended by them for assisting departments with accreditation that do not have the manpower or the personnel to do it on their own.
The other, if I may kind of move along, the other question I had is, and this might be Chief Haynes or Randy, in terms of financial impact, one's not noted here. I know how much the contract is, but then I also noted that following the initial cost, it's, what was it, 100 per hour? Do we know what our, what we expect the contract to cost over the life of it?
Mr. Mayor, personally, I would not expect it to be over the $40,000. A lot of what they do is they're basically hired to be our advisors, and they're hired to come into our department, review our property room, review all of our policies and procedures, and assist us, and they do the heavy lifting, but we're there to assist with making sure the policies are correct, having them reviewed, making sure that we're following the best standards nationally as well as within the state of Michigan. So I wouldn't expect, most of what's going to be picked up in excess would be picked up by us doing the work inside the building.
Did anyone else have any questions?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. I guess with the cost here, it says, speaking of that, the agency shall pay a total of $40,000. It says $15,000 when it's signed and then $5,000 every 6 months. To me, that adds up to $35,000. Can you explain that?
I did not add those numbers up, so I apologize for that. I do know that the contract was written for $40,000.
How long is the?
It could take up to 2 years to get us completely accredited.
Yeah, so I think 15,000 when it's signed, and then 5 at 6, 5 at 12, 18 and 24.
Yes.
So that's 20,000 plus 15 is 35. So should it be 35,000?
Hopefully, we can hold them to 35,000 if that's what they put in the contract, yes.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
So this, sure, I guess can we go into a little bit more detail about, I know you just mentioned the evidence room, would it be reviewing like our policy on how we use body cameras or, because of course we did add those in 2021, but I think we didn't really have an extensive conversation on like exactly how they be used. We have like I think we maybe had a 1-page or something at the time where there were like 2 different options we talked about. but maybe like about like chases and how those would work, or like, you know, search warrants, anything like that, like how all those kinds of things are reviewed with this accreditation?
Yes, this will cover every single policy and procedure that we have. It will include policies that we do not have. It is a national standard. Originally, it was a state of Michigan standard, and we had all but about 10 of the national standards. Recently, President Biden did sign an executive order requiring, and I don't have the specific date that it has to be done by. I believe it was 2026 or 2028. In any event, that all police departments within the United States need to be accredited in a national accreditation system. So what the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police have done is they have now retailored the program to include the other national standards. It includes property, it includes property retention, it includes pursuit policies, use of force policies. Every single thing that the police department does is going to go under a microscope to ensure that not only are we following the best practices of the nation, but we are proving on a yearly basis and an annual basis that we are following those procedures and showing proofs in everything that we do, you know, and that includes discipline, it includes internal investigation. I mean, everything you can think of that deals with the police department.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of one thing, and I think it's long enough ago to mention at this point. Just after I first started on city council, we had a ransomware attack at the city, and we found out that we weren't backing up certain data, and fortunately paid, I think, a very small amount, and we actually did get our files back. So I guess one thing would be, I hope that we are double checking that, and that we would be, you know, we put that data in Clemis. I know Clemis backs things up, but apparently we were not putting that data into Clemis. So I guess things like that hopefully would be cleared up with this, or at least outlined in the final report.
Yes, they will.
I guess if anyone else had other questions, if we needed more, if anyone wanted more time between now and like the next meeting or something, that's fine.
I think I'm okay with it. I also had a very brief chance to speak to Chief Haynes before the meeting. So whatever council wants to do is fine with me.
I'm good with moving forward. I mean, we already approved it in the budget. It's, you know, so I know this is kind of the formality. But, I would move that we, I want to make sure I say this right, that we accept the recommendation of the city manager and the police chief to hire the Rossau Group to assist the police department with accreditation and to allow the city manager to sign the contract and liability waiver on behalf of the city.
Is there support?
Second that.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item K, approval of purchase of the 2024 F-350 pickup truck for the Department of Public Works and Services.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to read some of our memo that we received. Included in the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget is a purchase of a 2025 Ford F-350 pickup truck, and it was budgeted for $60,000. And I'm looking at this, and the Director of Public Work, through his diligency and hard work, is recommending the purchase of a 2024 Ford F-350 pickup truck that meets the city specifications, and it's $53,530. So it's under the budget. So I congratulate him with that extra $6,000. I know he won't ask for it, but he saved $6,000. So I would move to purchase a 2024 F-350 pickup truck, the current Michigan deal contract number 071B770180 from the low bidder, Lunghammer Ford of Owasso, Michigan, for the amount of $53,530.
Second.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes. Moving on to item L, approve changes to the special event First Amendment Day celebration September 6, 2024 event application.
So moved.
Do we need to specify the changes, Mr. Albright?
No, I believe that's, it's contained on the summary sheet.
Okay. All right. Is there support?
Yes. Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
All right, item N, approval of special event application back to school wellness fair for August 24, 2024. Would anyone like to make a motion or speak to this?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Item N, approve reappointments to the Beautification Commission.
Oh, if I can first apologize for adding this to the agenda. Beautification appointments, as I should very well know by now, are by the mayor. I talked to him after I realized I had added these, or asked them to be added, and we're reappointing 2 of the current members. There's still 2 vacancies, so if anyone's interested in the Beautification Commission, please apply. That was all I had for it.
Yeah, I'm still recommending them, so.
Okay.
I'll second.
So that would be a motion to approve and reappoint Lakita Cobb and Rachel Sullivan to beautification to expire October 15, 2026. Is that right?
Yep.
All right, is there support?
That was me. I said I second.
Oh, okay. Please call the roll. I made the motion then. It's by appointment, but confirmed by council, so it's just a motion to confirm, really.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Moving on to the added item O, appointments for the Construction Board of Appeals. I have 4 individuals that I'd like to put forward. I believe we've all recently gotten the updated kind of list of applications that's been coming in. Some of these came in recently, but I hope everyone had them. The 4 names are, and this specific board requires specialized backgrounds. So Mark Tarikian, Sam Samillo, David Colville, and Alex Stokes. And what I was going to suggest is, I took a look at the ordinance. This has been vacant for a while. They're supposed to be staggered, and it's 5 members for 5 years. So I guess what I would do is, let's say August 13th? Or are we trying to keep expirations like at the same time for commissions, or should I do until August 13th?
Some of them were, I think some were like May and October, but then all of the commissions didn't get transferred over, so they're still throughout the year.
Okay.
I think some are specified in ordinances, some aren't. And we tried changing the ones that weren't. I don't know about this one.
So I'll make a motion, and really I'll just go down the line. I'm not choosing the terms. I'm not ranking the individuals. I'm just going to go in order. So I would do Mark Tarikian to be appointed for a term to expire August 13th, 2029. Sam Samillo to the same date of 28. Mr. Colville to 27. and Mr. Stokes to 26. Is what I would ask council to confirm.
So 5-year terms for a full term, is what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so, I'll support that.
All right. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to payrolls and bills. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we pay the bills in the amount of $4,858,366.14.
I'll second that.
All right, are there any questions on the bills? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes. Moving on to the second hearing of the public. The second hearing of the public is now open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
Lisa Ivory, Eastpointe resident. First, Councilman DeMonico, I think you're very rude and demeaning to Councilman Baker. Religious ministries and church ministries are two different words. Church means a gathering place. Learn the difference, please. Secondly, I'm sitting here this whole meeting disturbed at how our money, our tax dollars are spent. You spend more time dishing out money to corporations as third parties instead of hiring employees of the city. These department heads should be hiring city employees who eventually live in the city, pay taxes in the city, spend their money in the city, instead of outsourcing everything. And then what you talk about are how they're not doing their jobs. Your jobs as head of the departments are to hire these people, vet them, and make sure they do their jobs and flush the damn toilets. This is not outsourcing. This is not government. This city used to have its own garbage trucks that ran. Everybody in the neighborhood knew everyone because everybody worked in the city. Nobody knows everyone. We have people coming in from outsourced places that are ruining our city. And nobody is taking responsibility, and it's got to stop. I'm tired of you wasting my taxpayer dollars.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hi, Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. Just a couple of things. First of all, as far as the wording in the lease agreement, you guys could have come up with like an and/or and gotten both terms in there, probably a good compromise, and that would have still been valid and respected both of you. Just an observation there. Secondly, since people were talking about the road diet and that, and since we do have Police Chief Haynes here, have we gotten any input from police as far as the road diet for Phase 3, these roundabouts that you're talking about, the median that you keep talking about that you want to put between Kelly and I-94 on 9 Mile, which I don't even understand, because how is anybody ever going to turn left anywhere? You know, people live on the south side of 9 Mile, coming home from work, getting off of 94, they're not supposed to turn onto their street. I mean, I see the signs with you can only turn between certain hours, which I've never understood all the years I've lived here. Why are you able to turn left at 2:30 in the afternoon, but at 3 o'clock it's suddenly illegal? I mean, people know when they're in the left turn lane to turn when there's not cars coming, no matter what time it is. So anyways, but yeah, I would be interested to hear from a public safety point of view, all of these changes that you want to have, and especially in light of Sheetz potentially coming in there, which is going to cause a lot of traffic, I believe, if they're as successful as they hope to be. I know that Sheetz has their own security system. I think Councilwoman Pashadlik and Ms. Holman, you were both at the Planning Commission meeting, and they talked about having indoor and outdoor cameras. I think they said about 60 total per location that actually takes pictures of, security for the neighborhood too. Sometimes they pick up crime in the neighborhood. I kind of wonder though if those cameras extend into people's backyards on Holbrook there, since they're right behind there, is that, and they have, Sheetz has employees back at their headquarters in Pennsylvania that are monitoring all these cameras. They supposedly reach out to local police department if they see any suspicious activity. It's kind of mind-boggling because they have 700 stores, and I had to bust out my calculator to figure 60 cameras, 700 stores, that's 42,000 cameras that employees are monitoring 24 hours a day. That sounds kind of fantastical. But they do rely on local police as well. So that would be something that I think that maybe you'd want to loop him into the conversation too. But anyways, thank you and hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. Would anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? Seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed, and we'll move on to mayor and council reports. I guess we'll start with Mr. DeMonico.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. First, congrats again, John. Thanks for everything you've done with the city. Happy to see we've got over 130 trees. That is super awesome. And of course, all the other things, especially our fun little, I had to Google deciduous and coniferous to make sure I understood what we were even saying in that. But yeah, thank you again. And yeah, thanks to Ryder and Sergeant McNeil. A couple fun things at the beginning of the meeting here. And as Ms. Walton said earlier too, thanks to all the election workers. It is a ton of hours and a ton of time, and of course, very important work. So thank you to everybody that has taken part in that. Make sure also, as I guess Ms. Hall-Rayford said earlier, make sure you vote November 5th. Just everyone get out and make sure you vote. I think always, every election, everyone's disappointed in voter turnout. So let's try to not be disappointed. I know it's not an easy task. And we try to get everybody to vote, but please do that. And I'm happy we've got something going for Urban Seed here now. They kind of, they've just been, what's not blanking here on the term, they've just been sitting on the property, I feel like, for 10 years. No, I'm just kidding. But so I'm glad we have an actual agreement with them. That'll be good for the community as it has been for over 10 years. All right, so I just gave blood recently too. If anyone can give blood, the Red Cross I think is always an emergency for blood. So please get out there and give it. Do the double reds if you can. You can go half as many times even then and give twice as much blood. So that's cool. You can give 2 pints. They give you things back. I don't know, it's it's nice. Your blood comes back, right? So just give it, it'll come back. And then I got to make sure to mention tomorrow, Rockin' Summer Night was mentioned, but there will be a dunk tank. If you would like to dunk myself or the mayor, come and donate a few bucks for the Memorial Day Parade. 100% of proceeds will go to the Memorial Day Parade so that we can continue to have that. And yeah, try and dunk both of us maybe even, So come on out to Kennedy Park tomorrow. This weekend's also the citywide, Mayor's still staring me down. The citywide garage sales this weekend, so sign up for that. And also the Macomb County Pride Festival will be in downtown Mount Clemens, 12 to 6 p.m. on Saturday. So go out to that too if you can. And then keep the family of Dorothy Selecki in your thoughts. Was a neighbor of mine when I lived on Curtin. My parents still live there, so one of their neighbors. She passed away, so my condolences to the family. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pashadlik.
I'd also like to congratulate John. Thank you so much for all your contributions. It's been amazing. As well as Sergeant McNeil and Ryder, I'd also like to commend them as well for their service and thank them for it. As for the event on tomorrow at Kennedy Park, I'll be manning the dunk tank. I'll be glad to take your money for these two to get dunked. I have no shame in that. I think it's a great idea, good cause. So, you know, bring somebody with an arm, right? To the resident who was speaking about, you know, keeping things within the city and having those workers within the city with the garbage and whatnot. You know, back in the 80s, we had a very thriving community here, and money was different back then. And I think a lot of those legacy costs with respect to pensions and things like that factor into outsourcing. And, you know, that's probably why a lot of those decisions had to be made. It is unfortunate. I do understand what you're saying. It's when you live in a community and you work in the community and you support the community, it does make a difference. It really does. You know, that's another reason that I think it's so important that we do support our local businesses. Somebody was mentioning that, you know, that Cardi was not supportive of Deroni. I mean, Deroni is on our billables every month, so we always support them locally. So I'm really confused by that statement. And I'd also like to thank Ian because he highlights those businesses in our community and, you know, puts it out there so that people are aware of exactly what we have out there. And lastly, I would like to speak about the lease. Urban Seed, they do a phenomenal job there. There's a group of people within our community who are welcoming to everyone, no matter what. It doesn't matter religious creed, sexuality, orientation, anything. They're there for a purpose to serve the betterment of the community. They're there to, you know, associate, be friends. It's a great gathering place. It's a welcoming space. You just feel good when you go there, and the grounds are beautiful. It's just gorgeous, like Councilman Curley had mentioned, you know, go there on a Saturday and feel free to walk around. It's really amazing what they do. So I'm very pleased with the lease that you had drawn up, Rich, and thank you for that. I think it's a good thing for our community. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Baker.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to address in regards to like the in-house garbage pickup. That has actually been a conversation some time ago. Councilman DeMonico had mentioned interest in that. And I was here one day talking with Mr. Blum, and the prices to bring it back in-house are astronomical. You have to purchase trucks and so forth and so on. So it's a very costly thing, and he can break it down better from the financial standpoint than I can. But it was just something that we weren't in position to do. It would have cost us a huge amount of money to try to do that. And I'm a union worker. I'm about jobs, working, people having employment, all of that. You know, I don't like to see jobs go away. This was something that was done before I got here on council, that it was already outsourced as it stood. But yeah, it had been a conversation. I want to say at least maybe 2 years ago that it was brought up, and I don't recall what the exact numbers were. But when you hear the price, it's like, whoa, you know, we couldn't afford to do it. And I know not so long ago, we were in a deficit and were able to climb out, especially after the COVID years and things. That was a very sensitive time, very tight time. So it has been something that was thought about, but we just, as a community, as a city, weren't able to do it. So But I do understand that, and if it was feasible, I'd be all for it. You know, I'm about people working, and I like to see our dollars go to support our city, but we just couldn't do it. And trust me, I sat down and talked with him directly about it, so. In regards to, like Ms. Nicholas said, you know, I think and or is a good compromise. And I had a very specific reason that I looked at the language the way that I did, and it's not promoting of anything of my own personal beliefs necessarily or someone else's. But, you know, even with having the conversation with Mr. Hoffman, that's the way he explained it to me of all who contributed to the garden. And so I was fine with the language at least still being included, and just gave my opinion about it. And if the dialogue back and forth seemed a little disrespectful, I didn't take it that way. I wasn't intending to be. I didn't take Councilman DeMonico as being rude to me. I mean, if it sounded that way, I'm not telling anyone how to hear it, but I didn't take it that way. And quite frankly, you know, I don't really take a whole lot personal. There are some things that are very important to me, and I do believe in giving people credit where it's due. So that was one of the reasons that I believe that acknowledgement of church mission should have stayed there, because that is a very specific thing, but it does not necessarily mean this particular church or that particular church. But and just hypothetically, if his comments were meant to be rude, I didn't take it that way. So I guess it doesn't really matter. But just being lighthearted about it. But no, I didn't take it that way. And, you know, sometimes we disagree about things, but we keep on going, right? To Sergeant McNeil and Ryder, congrats. It's always good to acknowledge our people and I guess our animal officers in this community. People love Ryder from what I'm told. I've seen him. I've seen people play with him and everything. I was not so brave as to play tug of war with him. But, you know, it's always good to acknowledge what they do and just the dedication that they have to our city. To John, thank you for your service here. I've got to witness a lot of what you do, and I know there is even much more that I did not see firsthand, but having conversations with you and just seeing the passion that you have for what you do is very refreshing to see that. And we appreciate you for investing that type of work and dedication to our city. And to Brianna, for her MML acceptance, congratulations to you. And I believe that is all that I have.
Thank you, Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, John, I had mentioned to him that once we get the splash pad operative, we're going to ask him to come back and he can get out in the middle and dance and jump up and down. But do you know what? Think about this. Think about this. All that he's done and accomplished for the time that he was here. My goodness, think about what he would have done if he had been here, would be here 10 years. Can you even imagine that? Can you even fathom the things he's got done and what he could have done if, listen, I'll double your salary, stay here. Come on. Margaret and I were at the Planning Commission meeting, and Margaret, help me out here. No left turn was a big deal. It was huge, huge. And if I recall sitting there, they agreed that there would be no left turn. I did not hear that there would be a sign there like the person said. I just heard that it wouldn't be an exit. Is that kind of what you heard?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't going to speak about it because it wasn't on the agenda. I just didn't feel like we should speak about it, but there was a great deal of discussion.
Yes.
They mentioned that that they would put the driveway on that side, just as Speedway has a driveway on that side, out to the side street. However, they mentioned they would put a cut so that you could only make a right-hand turn out of it.
Okay,
However, they did acknowledge that there are those individuals who will drive over a curb
well,
to make a left-hand
Sure.
turn. But they did say they would request of the police department to place a sign saying no left turn, as well as do that curb cut.
Yeah, good.
So I know that that was discussed, but
Yeah,
like I said,
good.
I wasn't going to talk about it today just because it wasn't on the agenda, so.
Oh, well, it's on the agenda now because I'm speaking.
Sure.
Huh? So, Ryan, you're next. And it's me not understanding, it's not anybody else sitting up here, but talk to me about the traffic study. We were already told some months ago that there's about 22,000 vehicles that pass through 9 Mile Road. What are you going to look for the traffic study? What do you want to accomplish?
So I am going to, or is this just like a brief? This is these are our comments. I don't want to go into back and forth with.
Oh, yeah, just a comment? Okay, then I'm done.
Okay. I'm sorry, did you have anything else you want to say? I don't want to cut you off on comments. All right. Thank you. Thank you to John for everything that you did while you were here. I really appreciate it. And we are going to benefit a lot from the time that you spent in our city. Congrats to Sergeant McNeil and Ryder. And I also want to say thank you to the chief for putting together something to present, because I was really hoping, and I've talked to Mariah about this, I'd like to see more recognition of the employees, because I don't think we've been doing that enough. So it means a lot to see our department heads spending the time to recognize, everyone who works under them. So, and shout out to Rob, I guess, related to that, because that the words for John had your fingerprints all over it. So
I can't take credit for it, but I was told that I may or may not have been the inspiration. It might have been a dad joke type of thing. I'm not saying that I do them, but.
it had a little bit of flair. I do want to say thank you to our election workers. I think it's always a little bit stressful. So I really appreciate the hard work that they do. And I will also invite everyone to come out and join us tomorrow for the dunk tank and all the festivities. It's not a competition, but I think Cardi's going to raise a lot more money than I am. And then I'm going to end with, I'd like to say congratulations to Jamie Richardson and Maurice Lloyd, who are now Jamie and Maurice Lloyd. I had the privilege of performing my first marriage as mayor here on Thursday, I think it was. And it was just a really great ceremony. We had some, thank you, Mariah, Brianna, and Kim for staying behind so that the building could be open and they could be married. If people don't know this, mayors can marry in the county where their city is. And most cities charge, the cheapest I could find, I think, was $25, but most charge like $100 or something like that. We set our fee over 50 years ago in 1972 at $10 and have kept it there. And I think that's great. I think it's sort of a small, charming thing people should know about us. So, if you want to get married at City Hall, it's $10. So, congratulations to them, and that's all I have. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second Councilman Baker's motion.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley? Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Bishadlik?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 9:07.